Hello and welcome to Living Hypnotically. I'm Erika Flint, your host, and this is where we explore the application and benefit of hypnosis with professional hypnotists. And today I have Dr. Janet Williams with me, and she is just fantastic. She wrote a book, Why Don't I Like Sex Anymore? She's using hypnosis to help people understand intimacy. Dr. Janet, thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. So good to see you. And thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's start at what made you want to be a hypnotist in particular, because I think this is a really cool story. Can you tell everyone about that?
Sure, yes. I had used hypnosis myself. So there was a time that I was going through some really difficult things around infertility. I had an experience that I went through some kind of traumatic things with infertility and it didn't work. So I had gone through multiple surgeries and injections and was struggling in my relationship and got the embryos and did all the whole thing. And it was a
Wow.
over a year-long process, several rounds of fertility treatments. And after all of that, the embryos were not compatible with life. It was devastating. It was like emotional and it was really difficult. And after I found out that news, I had a change in my libido. I had a change in my sexual function. And that's where I started to look into what can I do, not only for my sexual wellness, but to recover and heal from the pain of that
That's,
situation.
that sounds very emotionally challenging to go through all of that and then get that to have that result at the end.
Yeah, it was not a good look.
Yeah.
Okay. Not
Man,
at
and you're a
all.
medical doctor.
Yeah,
You're an MD, right?
I
This is
am.
some like you have some special interest and a lot of or skills or expertise in being human and the body and all of that. How did that play into this?
That's the thing. And I'm an obstetrician gynecologist. So this is like the area that where you would think that I would have intel and be able to address it. But sadly, one of the major issues in sexual wellness, especially for women, is that there's not a lot of research in this area until more recently. So
Mhm.
we're for women there, we've just been like excluded. And the whole field of sexual medicine didn't really come about until the 80s when Viagra was put into place. And
Oh,
then all of the Viagra users' partners came in, okay, I've got these issues going on. And for
I
me,
did not realize that. So the
yes,
only reason this is now getting attention is because Viagra, and there was now a need for to address the women's half of the equation. Is
yes,
that
unfortunately, that is the truth of that, the
okay?
field. And in medical school, there was like little to zero training on sexual health and function. And as I became a practicing physician, I'd have women come to me, especially in their 40s, when there's some hormonal changes taking place, and they were saying, hey, I'm having this issue. And I really didn't know how to help them because it was not something that we're educated on. Sadly, we're not educated well on hormones. We're not educated on menopause and perimenopausal care. And this is where my interest in this was born. All right.
Now, I've
Uh,
heard that even anatomically, the books in the medical schools don't have all of the female parts in the medical books. Is that
well,
true?
I think the parts are there, but the
Yeah.
understanding around, especially like the clitoris and the areas
Yeah.
that involve pleasure, have not been represented. Yes, to that part of it. Like they don't, unless it's like a medical kind of issue or like
Yeah.
a disease process, it really just was not addressed. And it's so sad because that is such a big part of who we are. Everyone that you see walking around has is a result of sex for the most part, right? It's a basic thing that people do. So why not have an understanding of it? Why not be able to address it? And for my own personal process, like I did a lot of research in terms of what was available in the medical community. Most of the stuff that was available is not in the medical community. I took a bunch of courses. There's a woman who does like vaginal weightlifting, like all kinds of different things on
Wow.
how to understand the body and the things that are involved. And what I came to understand is that it is our sexual health is biopsychosocial. So it's biology that's involved, there's psychology that's involved, and then there is the social, cultural aspects of things that are involved. And a couple of years ago, I started a coaching program that help women, mostly over 40, professional women over 40 who have issues like similar to my own, to address this. And going back a little bit again to my own process, in doing all that research, in doing all that, I went to therapy, the whole thing. One of the things that I used was hypnosis. I started with some hypnosis audios, and then I later actually had some live sessions, and that was the game changer. Like I had been in therapy for 2 years, and basically in therapy, I was crying every session, and it was just like reliving and going back to that. And I wanted to move forward. I wanted to change and evolve. Okay, I get it. It was traumatic. It was painful, but I wanted to move forward. And so for me, the hypnosis was that game changer, that thing that clicked for me. I think that therapy is important, is helpful. It helped me to identify my emotions, which I wasn't like clued into before. I come from a very religious, strict background. And so emotions weren't something that we really dealt with. Therapy was very good for me in terms of identifying emotions, but the hypnosis was the game changer in terms of changing my life and moving forward with it.
Beautiful.
So that's my story.
Yeah. Hypnosis, there's a lot of reasons for this, but I think part of it is we get the sense that we can be outside of ourselves, at least take things from a different perspective and see things from a different perspective. We get into the feeling space. And once we're in that feeling space where we really are offering some level of transformation, or we might get neuroplasticity, we might get memory reconsolidation in 5 hours once we're starting to feel something in the body, which we know is making changes in the brain. And when changes in the brain are happening now, when you come up against an old situation where in the past you might have always felt ashamed or bad or whatever it is, now the brain has an option. Now the brain comes to the same position and says, oh, we can think or feel this way instead of this old, worn out way. So now you're at some level of a pause or choice. And the choice hopefully is, would you like to transform?
Yeah.
Or do you want things to be the same as they've always been?
Yeah. And I think one of the wonderful things about hypnosis is that you don't have to like relive that trauma. It's not like reliving the trauma. Like you don't have to go through it over and over again, which sometimes we get stuck in these ruts. It actually allows you to, like you said, change the way the brain is thinking in those connections. So I love that about it.
Awesome. Awesome. That is fantastic. Can you like talk about maybe one of your client success stories, or a story that might share the results or the insights that you're seeing in your programs?
Sure. Yes. One of the biggest issues that women face is difficulty with pleasure and difficulty with orgasm, believe it or not, especially in the midlife transition. We see that a lot of times. A part of it, again, is biological. So there may be some changes hormonally that changes sensitivity. But a big part of desire or libido is around our mental state and our ability to be in the moment. A lot of times especially professional women, we've got a lot going on at the midlife stage. A lot of us have kids that are going to college. We have aging parents. We've got changes in our bodies.
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
There's so much going on. So there's this laundry list of things that need to be done that are in that frontal cortex, like where our thinking brain that has the to-do list. And I have a lot of clients who are that type of woman, very busy, very like type A maybe, or maybe just super organized, amazing women, dope women. But when it comes to pleasure and being able to be in the moment and to be in their body, it's difficult for them to do.
They can't do that anymore. And they've been able to in the past is what my question.
Yeah, sometimes. And I have some clients who are like, I've never been able to get there. I have an example of one client who just could not for the life of her have the pleasure and reach orgasm. So she just could not. And after our work together, we're able to get her to get back into her body. get
Nice.
connected to herself, release some of those blockages that were getting in the way. And she told me that she had the most amazing orgasm after some of our work together. So,
Good job. Good job, clients in hypnosis
yeah.
and Dr. Janet. That's awesome. Now, is this person using hypnosis as part, is this part of the process that you're doing with clients? You're putting some hypnosis in there?
Yes, so I have a program. It's called the Confident Pleasure Program, and so it
Mhm.
helps to address these types of issues. Again, mostly most of the clients that I work with tend to be over 40, having
Yeah.
some changes in their body and some
Yeah.
sort of what I call intimacy congestion. They're basically blocks to the your intimacy, and those can be physical blocks and those can be mental blocks.
Can you
And
give
so
us an example of intimacy congestion?
So an example, a good example of a physical intimacy congestion would be like some level of pain. And what we can figure out is what is the source of the pain. Sometimes that pain is a physical pain related to low hormones, and we can determine if that is the issue going on and give some suggestions on how to fix that. So that would be one issue. Sometimes the pain can be emotional pain, which manifests itself in your body. So if you have had a traumatic occurrence, you've had some traumatic experience, so like a molestation in the
Yeah.
past or any kind of like sexual trauma, that can be held in the muscles in our pelvic floor, and that can cause pain. And
Wow.
so we're able to get in and clear those beliefs out that are associated with those issues and
That's
resolve.
not easy to do consciously, is it? So
Yeah,
just
no,
sitting and
it's not.
talking about it is not the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
So even
Yeah.
though we may understand from a theoretical kind of cognitive aspect, okay, yes, I've had trauma in the past and this
Yeah.
is interfering, unless we go back and retrain our belief around that issue, like that is going to be the key to making that transition and clearing those intimacy blocks
Yeah.
out of the way.
Get the book. Start hypnotizing. Get the book and first hypnosis lesson free now at canyoubeahypnotist.com.
And we'd call that neuroplasticity. At least I'd call that neuroplasticity. I'd say we got
Mm-hmm.
to get into that feeling space because intellectually we can look at it and we can say, yeah, I know I was hurt. And I come across a lot of sexual trauma in my work, helping a lot
Yeah.
of people with weight loss. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of molestation and
Yeah.
there's just a lot of that in that whole area
Yeah.
too.
I actually had a patient. This wasn't a client of my hypnosis client, but a
Mhm.
patient many years ago that she was very overweight, very concerning for her health. And one of the things that I always say is people who have problems with their weight, they know they have problems with their weight. You don't have to tell them they have problems with their weight. And the question that I asked her was like, have you always had a problem with your weight? And she said, not always, but, and I was like, when did this start and how did it start? And to your point, her answer was that someone molested her as a child. And what she wanted to do was to protect herself. Like the whole reason that she started eating is so that she wouldn't attract anyone to her. And so it was a
And that
protective
is common.
mechanism. Yeah.
And it's not always conscious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Meaning a lot of our clients are now, as they get older, they might say, I think the reason I started gaining weight was to protect myself. Yet they still
Yeah.
end up in my office because knowing that
It's not
doesn't
enough.
help them
Yeah.
drop or lose the weight. We still
Mm-hmm.
have to get back into that feeling space and really change. So most of the time is like they're actually feeling or emoting something.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's where we think we get that neuroplasticity and the memory reconsolidation that
Mm-hmm.
neuroscience is talking about now.
Yeah.
So when our clients are feeling or emoting, now that's changing their beliefs and it's changing the deeper level so that
Mm-hmm.
we can see the
Yeah.
result at the end. So your client, who the one that you were just talking about, I think you brought up two clients, right? One that was as a post for an experience, and then the previous client And she had that really amazing experience,
Mhm.
right? What ended up happening with her? Did she go on to complete the things that she wanted to do by working with you and find that intimacy after this experience? I
Oh
would assume this
yeah.
is
I mean,
just part of it, right?
here's the like incredible thing about this. I think happens a lot in hypnosis, but definitely for people who have these intimacy blocks that they get cleared, because sexual health and wellness is just basically a window into our overall health and wellness. What I have been observing is that once we clear those things out, the rest of their lives like really open up. So for that woman in particular who had the amazing orgasm, she ended up like changing all of this stuff in her business. She nearly doubled the amount of income that she had. She found a partner. Yeah. And she moved into a new house, like all of these things, because the things that you need to clear away, like the shame, there's a number of things that get in the way of all of the progress in other areas. That's what I've been observing, where we address this one thing, and it's the one thing that's probably blocking multiple things in your life. So the confidence comes from not only like sexual confidence, but confidence in the boardroom when you go doing your business dealings, right? Confidence with interacting with a new partner and all of those things. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I was actually shocked. I was actually shocked myself. I was like, wow, this is a thing,
That's
right?
awesome.
So yeah.
It seems, and I don't, you hear about chakras, and I'm not really into all of that. And I'm not super versed in that, but like our intimacy and sex, I always thought that it's like at the root of how we experience life and who we are. So it almost feels if we have troubles with sexual intimacy or intimacy in general, like that's going to impact every interaction that we have in life, where some other things might not be quite as deep in us. So it almost feels like I almost feel like we all have some of this probably that needs to be addressed because of what you said, because we don't talk about it, because we don't understand it entirely, because there's shame around it completely. And so I am not surprised, like I'm happily surprised for your client, but I'm not really surprised because it
Yeah.
feels like that would halt her from
Mhm.
doing what she wanted in her life at almost every level.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. But here's the science nerd in me also when you're talking about chakras and energy systems. There is this thing, this is a little off topic, but I will mention it just because it's relevant. There is a nerve, it's called the vagus nerve.
Yep.
And so the vagus nerve is connected to our hearts, and it is not known by a lot of people, but it's also connected to our cervix. And one of the things that happens with the vagus nerve, people will use the vagus nerve to bring blood pressure down, to calm things down. But it's also the cervical, there's several different types of orgasm. The cervical orgasms are connected with or associated with the cerebral kind of spiritual experience. That the theory behind this, and then there's no like studies to show this, but the theory behind this is that it is connected to that vagus nerve along that energy chakra platform. So
Yep. Totally believe it.
I think it's all related. I think that the spiritual aspect of it, the scientific aspect of it that maybe we don't fully understand yet, and then our psychological, emotional aspect of it's all connected. And I think it's so cool and beautiful.
So interesting. So a
Yeah.
cervical orgasm different than a clitoris orgasm.
Yeah. There's multiple types of orgasm, but I thought that was interesting to just mention in relationship to.
Well, but the vagus nerve is really big for me as a hypnotist, right? We want to use the vagus nerve as best we can to help the body calm down. And we're going to do things in hypnosis like peripheral vision, dropping your jaw, slowing down your breathing, that we all know engages the vagus nerve, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this about the vagus nerve.
Yes.
Yet. No
Isn't that
surprise.
crazy? Yeah. So it's all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I think it's so great because it gives us so much more power and agency over our bodies.
Yeah.
You know? And that mind body connection is so very real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you talk about one of the techniques that you use with your clients, like keeping in line with that, the mind body connection and how
Yeah,
good it is
sure.
to do certain things for the body? And you were talking earlier about a body scan or something like that. I'm wondering.
So I have a meditation. It's called the Divine Ember Activation Meditation. And for me, the Divine Ember is basically our sexual energy. And
Okay.
the way that I use that is to help women to get back into their bodies again. And we talk about how we've got this laundry list of things to go, and you're a lot of times we're not present. And so I use the Divine Ember Activation Meditation to help as a body scan to bring you back into your body. And it
Nice.
basically uses some visualization techniques and the divine ember as it goes through your whole body in the meditation. So you're going through every part of the body and then focusing in on that area and activating those areas again. So I
Beautiful.
actually there's information about that on how to do that in my book.
Mhm.
So it can be referenced there, but it's a probably about it could take you could do it longer, but usually about 20 minutes or so to do this activation. And you go through each section of the body and all of the sexual areas, all of the not sexual areas, but to
Yeah.
activate and get your body focused in. And it's really powerful.
Wow. And it sounds like you're bringing their attention to certain things, having them focus on certain
Mm-hmm.
things very intentionally. Beautiful. And can you hold up your book again?
Oh, sure.
See your book again.
There it
And
is.
we'll make sure to put a link up, but it's goodgroove.com where you can find Dr. Janet Williams' stuff. And her book is linked
Yeah.
from there. So be sure to go
Yeah.
get a copy of that with the Ember meditation. And these types of experiences, I think hypnotic experiences that are self-serve,
Mhm.
that we can do on our own and that type of thing. It sounds like you might have your clients do it regularly. There might be something where they're gaining skill in their ability to connect with their body. Is that right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So with the one-on-one work I do, I also have a number of audios that help to supplement, and I call them hypnosis audio integration. So it basically helps to reinforce the work that we do one-on-one. I do have a group coaching session, a group coaching group that we don't do the one-on-one hypnosis, but they can use some of these DIY tools to get some of the same benefits that you would get from the one-on-one hypnosis
Yeah.
and coaching.
And
But
that's what I'm finding my clients love. They love the private sessions or they love the in-person, whether it's on Zoom or
mhm,
live. They love that, but they also want to have something at home, either on their phone or a recording or something like
mhm.
when they need it. We need coping strategies. We
Oh,
can't just be reaching for
yeah.
glasses of wine and
Yeah, yeah.
whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So I just find that hypnosis, we like to do insight-based hypnosis where we're getting our clients insight, right? But
Mhm.
then the hypnosis where someone's listening to a recording, I just think is, and we might call that maybe an old-fashioned way of doing hypnosis. Hypnosis
Mhm.
recordings have been around forever, and everybody wants to do hypnosis in half a second and get you relief. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I see some people out there. It's like in a
You're
single
like,
session, you've been
really?
suffering for 30 years with a single
Yeah.
session, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that the recordings are really important because it gives our clients something to do in amidst the chaos. And for the monkey mind, for the laundry list, for all of this where we have trained ourselves, and I imagine your clients are smart.
Oh, yeah.
They're smart. We got
I'm
ourselves in
talking
this
like,
position by
yeah.
working hard,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
right?
talking
So
CEOs. These are like really strong, beautiful women, but we need some extra help.
we do. And this is why the television can be so compelling because you come home and it's just you're being fed something. And so this
Hmm.
hypnosis, I think, fits right in the middle there because you're on the receiving end. You've had a
Hmm.
long day. Maybe you don't want to crack open the book as much as you'd love to have the energy to do or
Yeah.
paint the room or whatever it is you'd really love to have the energy to do. You might feel like you just want to receive or be
Mm-hmm.
entertained. And then
Yeah.
we've got the news and we've got television, or hey, how about this? Let's put on Dr. Janet's recording
Mm-hmm.
and let me connect with myself. And now,
Mm-hmm.
if we can do this enough, meaning it's 20 minutes, and I have some that are 5,
Yeah,
because if
that's
I tell
great.
some of my clients, stop at lunch and do a 20-minute
Mm-hmm.
recording, I'll
They
say,
can't do that.
you're
Yeah.
ridiculous, Erika.
Yeah, yeah.
5 minutes, they
Mhm.
can do 5 minutes. And it's amazing. First of all, it's on their phone. So they listen to 5 minutes, and then it's almost as if everything has shifted. They get their brain back. They're not as
Yeah.
irritated. It's like the best of them is able to come back and now partake. And so they're more productive if that's what they want. And productivity is not what we're going for, but at
Mm-hmm.
least they're feeling better
Mm-hmm.
about what they are doing. So they feel more fulfilled at the end of the day. And so I think it's important that we have these coping strategies that are beneficial. And I don't mind telling people, I'm going to go do hypnosis. I'm going to go do nothing. And I'll listen to myself, my own.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that, Janet. I think that is just such an important part of the work we do, is to provide
Yeah.
our clients with the tools and help them gain the skill
Mm-hmm.
so that they can go out and be awesome in the world,
Right.
equipping people with modern
Yeah.
skills.
The thing is, I don't want my clients to be with me for 15 years. Not to knock therapy. I think therapy has its place and is wonderful, but I want them to be able to move forward and then go towards the goals that they have set for themselves. This is
Yeah.
not about being in hypnosis every week, like forever, but we want to give them something that allows them to transform and move forward in the way that they'd like to.
Escape out of the situation you're in, right? So you're going to feel
Yeah.
like you're in this day to day, can't get out of this. But now you do hypnosis and mind body connection. You're thinking differently. You're
Mm-hmm.
getting an upward spiral. Things feel differently. And you've
Yes.
escaped that old way of
Yeah,
thinking and being, right? Without
definitely.
even having to leave or do any other changes. It's all happening here, right?
Absolutely.
What did you think about hypnosis before you became a hypnotist that you know now isn't true? Just, how there's all these
Hmm.
misperceptions about hypnosis. So I always like to take just a moment to ask you, as a professional hypnotist, what are one of the things that you might have believed as a client before you were a professional
Right.
that
Yeah.
is common misperception?
I think, again, coming from a very religious background, everything was the devil, basically. So everything was like evil, mind control, like all of this kind of thing. And so I don't know if I truly believed that, but I was a little scared and nervous about
Yeah.
that. Like that someone is controlling your mind and they will take over and they will tell you to do bad things. But understanding the
That's a
science,
common misperception. And
yeah,
you know why? You see it in Hollywood.
yeah,
Movies are made about it. It makes for a very compelling story. You think you're going for
right.
hypnosis, but you're getting programmed to kill your neighbor. It makes for a really good story.
Yeah, understanding the science behind it. I'm such a science nerd. I just
Mhm.
love that understanding how our brains work. And
Yep.
so coming to that understanding is just like really powerful and makes it so cool.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I know there's a lot of explanations for hypnosis. My favorite is the brain waves, right? We're
Hmm.
existing. You can hook your brain up to an EEG and notice that you're predominantly existing in what we call a beta brainwave, which is
Hmm.
fast and specialized. There's lots of specialty there. So we can have big thoughts,
Hmm.
really big critical thinking, right? At the end of your day, when you're feeling tired, you might not want to have a big discussion with you're like, oh,
Yeah.
can we wait till tomorrow? Like, really? Like, I haven't had my
Yeah.
coffee in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet to have this discussion. What are
Totally.
we talking about there? Your beta hasn't woken up yet. That's what we're
Yep.
talking about there. You're not having enough of those specialized beta brainwaves. So when
Hmm.
we get into hypnosis, what we notice is that our clients are predominantly in an alpha and a theta,
Hmm.
right? And alpha is flowy and theta is beyond words. Theta is imagery. And so when we see this on an EEG and we can see that there's absolutely something happening different in the brain, we
Yeah.
know that we're operating with different information. So there's different information that hangs out in alpha, same thing in theta, same thing in delta. So we know that in a state of hypnosis, we are actually using different data. We're accessing different data deep
Yes.
of us.
Yes.
And this is usually the data that's causing knee-jerk reactions. And what neuroscientists say, 95 or 90% of our decisions are made at that level. And then
Wow.
when we become conscious of it, we find evidence in the real world to support it. So we're actually making decisions based on this data.
Yep.
And then consciously, our conscious mind says, oh yeah, I agree with that. And here's why.
Yeah. So
So
cool.
we have a lot of proof of hypnosis helping people. And so that's why I love to have you on the show talking about your clients, your programs, how you're helping people in really powerful and unique ways. And personally, I think intimacy is the most important thing in the world
Hmm.
because this is just my personal beliefs, but like, why are we all here and we don't know why
Hmm.
we're here? Whatever your beliefs are, I think the key is intimacy and connection with one another and the ability to
Hmm.
love one another
Yes.
completely and totally. And it includes from the very core your work
Hmm.
and the great work that you're doing, and that you come from a medical background and have all of this very Western accolades. And you were in that, you worked for a large hospital for how long?
For 20 years.
So
Yes.
thank you, Dr. Janet, because this is you bringing your expertise and knowledge to this very much needed area, right?
It's a pleasure. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thank you. Well, what would you like your potential clients out there? They're sitting out there, they're 40 plus years old. They might be questioning their intimacy or having problems
Yeah.
talking about things. What do you want them to know?
I want them to know that there are answers. So it's normal to have issues. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything about you. And there are answers, there are solutions. You can have an amazing intimate life. You can have sexual confidence. So those are all options, regardless of your age, your religion, your preferences, your gender identification. Like, it's available to you.
And it doesn't
So
take too long, it
it
sounds like.
doesn't take too long. It doesn't.
We're not talking years of therapy,
No.
a couple sessions, getting some insight. Yeah.
Yep. So,
Because we get to go directly to the source with
hmm,
hypnosis. That's what
yep,
makes it really nice. We're going to the source of the issue. We get rid of kind of the conscious mind's BS and
yep,
storytelling that it's been telling us all this time. We get to go right to the
yeah.
root,
And
right?
you'll feel so much lighter, and you can live in a way that is authentic and connected. It's a beautiful thing. Just to know it's a possibility. I want people to realize that.
Yeah. And you're lovely. You are so
Oh,
lovely,
thank
Dr.
you.
Janet. Thank you
Thank you.
for your
As are you, Erica.
unobvious. Thank you. Thank you. It is lovely doing this work, that's for sure. But I'm really proud of you. And
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you for all that you
Couldn't have
do.
done it without you, Erica.
Well,
Trained
I don't know.
me.
You're pretty
Yes.
amazing, but thank you.
Yes.
How can people connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect on social media on Instagram. So Good Groove Co. At Good Groove Co. is on
Good, good.
Instagram, and you can reach at goodgroove.com as well. You can access the social media from there.
I think this is important. I think it's important to continue having discussions about intimacy and sex so that people feel okay talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not a shameful or embarrassing. And it's just a part of the body. So thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Erika Flint. You can find me at cascadehypnosistraining.com, and you can download our new guidebook there as well. And that's at cascadehypnosistraining.com/guide. And if you'd like to be a professional hypnotist like Dr. Janet Williams here, we teach a hypnosis certification course regularly. We'd love to have you in our hypnosis certification course. Doesn't matter what your background is. You don't have to be a medical doctor like Dr. Janet. You don't even have to be a therapist or counseling or anything like that. Because the truth is, the answers are within our clients. And as a professional hypnotist, you will be creating an environment for your client to feel safe, the walls to come down, and so they can access the truth. So that's the truth of it. Our clients access the truth themselves. That's why hypnosis is so empowering, because the results they get themselves, which just feels amazing and really cascades out into the rest of their life. So again, thank you, Dr. Jana, for being here today, and love you lots, everyone. Hope to see you next time on Living Hypnotically. Bye for now.
Get the book, Start Hypnotizing. Get the book and first hypnosis lesson free now at CanYouBeAHypnotist.com.